Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum, may peace be on you. It's a joy to be with all of you and to share the story of the Right Livelihood College. It was a dream some 15 years ago at a reunion of all the laureates, and they thought here we were, a great resource, living libraries, people with solutions, people with courage, people who wanted to grow these things in a way that will make a better world. So they thought, let's set up an institution of higher learning, an idea of a university and a college. And the process began. And there was a thought then of course, developing a project proposal, raising funds, and it was a challenge. It was a challenge. And it was a difficult challenge, and some years passed by. Then there was in 2008, several years later, there was you could say a chance meeting between Ole, the executive director, Ole van Huxel, the executive director of the Right Livelihood Award Foundation, and myself, when they were passing through Malaysia in 2008. And we met at the airport in Kuala Lumpur, and we talked about plans for the future. And I shared with him an idea that I had, that I was working on, which I called at that time a multiversity. An idea of local programs, but with a massive connection with everything good that groups who want to become change makers will know. And this could be done very lightly, it will be action oriented, it will be focused. And the conversation continued, and I said, well, this could be a model for the Right Livelihood College. And we hit up. We connected and we continued the discussion and say, well, let's have a light, participatory, action-oriented network where all the laureates become fellows of a college. So we don't have to have a building, we don't have to have funding as such, and then we take this college and we offer it to universities all over the world. And we were very fortunate that in Penang, Malaysia, under the leadership of Professor Zulkifli, who later became the president of the International Association of Universities, agreeing to host this idea at the university. And that happened on January the 9th, 2009, when the dream was realized and the platform was put in place. This platform was very simple. There were 7 very simple ideas which all of you are familiar about, and I just like to repeat them because they are the core platforms. They are like the checklist of things that you can draw on and do. The lecture series, fellowships, postgraduate fellowship series, internships, getting more and more younger people engaged together with laureates, workshops and seminars, publications of different kinds that will come. And as you know, I have done various things, small cards and various kinds of materials that I send around, things that posters, and just to keep the organization's idea alive in that. Like this was weapons of mass transformation, working on one of our laureates, Gene Sharp, and then one of our other Walter Barry, ideas of sustainable development, the Charter of Mother Earth. So all kinds of things that will connect us with the change makers around the world, with ideas that will get attention. We also did several books. There was the Right Livelihood Foundation directory, which was excellent, and then we did something called Multiversities, and also now a book called Right Livelihood, the Right Livelihood Way, Change Makers source book. So Over the years, we have had quite a range of things that we have reached out to people just to establish ourselves, and to establish ourselves in a way in which we are also bringing joy, we're bringing color, we're bringing creativity, and making people feel inspired. Because if you want instigators, you also need to inspire them. Then, of course, the idea of films, and this has become more and more important because of the whole way in which it communicates messages. And the seventh platform was Days of Action, something that we did quite significantly in Penang, but something that could be done. All the UN days of action that have been largely the result of civil society activities, they cover the whole range of things that we are all working on, using each of the United Nations days to make a difference in different parts of the world. It's already a platform that you can build on. So there were these 7 platforms that were the core ideas. But very important, and I want to repeat that, no platform, no movement actually moves or excites people or instigates people if you don't have some processes in place that actually make that journey possible. And you know, this is those were 7 platforms, and since this year is also my 77th birthday, I'll also share with you 7 processes that I think are constantly useful to remember. One is creativity. Any kind of movement like this, if you don't come up with ideas, things that will attract people, things that already people feel are different, you won't make very much progress. And then, of course, the whole challenge of communication, of reaching out to people. There's a whole range of new kinds of ways by which you can work on, on the new information, multimedia systems and so on. And we have to be really very good at these things. Then competence. This is very important because this is an academic change maker initiative, and when we have these kinds of things, we have to show all the time the quality of our work and the quality of our operations. Then courage. One of the core things in the whole of the Right Livelihood Foundation, the Right Livelihood movement, has been the courage to do things sometimes differently, to take up and move on things which sometimes people will find too complicated and too challenging. We have to have that. And then the fifth thing, one of the very important elements of the Right Livelihood movement is also caring. That all the time the Right Livelihood College is shown to be linking up with people who care for the environment, care for other people, care for also a sound future for everyone, even at the personal level. And then, of course, the spirit of community, because when you do a partnership of this kind, like the Livelihood College, where you're taking activists and you're taking academics and you're linking up with different continents, different cultures, different languages and so on, there must be a core kind of spirit. And the Right Livelihood Way, the Right Livelihood Foundation, the collection that we have of, the collective that we have of all the different laureates, gives us a very unique global community that is taking up actually every issue that is of concern to us. The seventh, and you notice that they're all with a C, is also another important part, because whenever you are involved in an institution, you must also do some counting. That is evaluation. Look at how we are reaching out, where are we succeeding, where are things that can be done more, and this kind of counting has to be also a very important element, because when you make a journey, you want to know what the stops are. How far have we gone in a journey? How far more can we go? Should we go? Yeah, this is extremely important. I also want to share at least 7 ideas that I think we might want to think about for the next period. One is, I think, the youth are going to be extremely important, and the whole idea of the Youth for the Future that began together with the Right Livelihood College is something that we should build on, and build on in terms of more and more internship programs, more and more youth programs, more and more link with even existing youth organizations all over the world who can be brought in together in partnerships of a new kind. Then of course the whole multimedia area. We have every one of our campuses has to be very good. Santa Cruz has gone on to online programs. I think this is the way to go for all our campuses also. We have to have resources that can be taken and shared between everyone. Then I think also our book, the source book for change makers, I think this particular book can also become a core material of all the colleges and also globally. And the idea is to keep it available internet, but also my hope is that it can also become a book that can be available in bookshops. The other thing is also that each of the laureates themselves are quite remarkable, and it might be very good for us also to think in terms of a series of booklets. There's a model called The Better World, The Heroes, where each of the laureates' issues can be combined together into like a little workbook where what can you learn from this laureate? What are the kinds of things that you can do? Where are the resources? And these little booklets that can be downloaded from a website can become then powerful resources for lessons, classes, for youth groups, or for anybody who wants to do. The next one, the sort of fifth, I think having a common information base for all the colleges and also reaching out to all our laureates. We need some kind of core information resource, and one of the best that I know globally has actually been developed by a laureate and is part of the groups that I always show to people as an example of an excellent resource, and this is developed by the Transcend University, which Johan Galtung has been involved on. It's actually a weekly, fortnightly material that brings you dozens of the best materials, articles, poems, videos, all that go. And I think that should become also a very standard kind of material that all the colleges should begin aligned with. And I think we could make a partnership agreement with Transcend about getting this material to become one of the core things, just like our Changemakers book. The sixth thing is our link with the International Association of Universities. I think linking with them, making sure that our programs that are being done can be publicized through them, maybe making some projects that might also be useful under their name at meetings and other conferences that we might be holding. The seventh thing is that I think for the college for the future, having always a spirit of open-endedness, always welcoming of new ideas, welcoming of campuses, welcoming of partners, and always thinking of those kinds of opportunities. Any movement that begins to say, hey, we've got too much, we've got this, I think will not succeed. You must have an open system where they can participate in a light way. And just as we created the college in a very light way, we can create partnerships in a very light way so that we grow just like the universe is expanding. We too have those kinds of principles, which very often I call galactic organizing. Very light, very open, new ideas always welcome, new partnerships always welcome. So these seven some ideas for you to think about. I too will think about them. In conclusion, I just wanted to again share something because this is a journey, and the future is not someplace just out there. The future is something that we create, and I like to share what Wangari Maathai, one of our very, very special, brave laureates that did so much, and she made a statement And it's a wonderful statement that you can read actually on the website. Despite all the constraints you may face, all the lack of good things that many of us look for, dedicating oneself to the common good of society, to the environment, to democratic principles, and to peace is itself a great reward. Sometimes it is not recognized, sometimes not pleasant, but there is a personal satisfaction, a feeling that you have lived your life to the full, that you have been a productive, a useful, a valuable member of the greater community of the living. It is your future, she says. Take it, work for it, and devote your life to it, so that you too may pass, and create a better world for your children. Thank you so much. I look forward to working together with you to make the Right Livelihood College grow and have greater and greater impact all over the world. Thank you.